What's up? Welcome back to Duty's Daggers. I'm really excited because I finally have been able to try the Drift LCT, and I actually just took it out of the box like literally 5 minutes ago when I got home. I couldn't wait to record the video. I just opened the box really fast and flipped it a couple times and started the video. So it's still very fresh. I have not really looked at this thing yet. I just flipped it a couple times. So my main question about the LCT was, how does it compare to the Drift Large? Because they're very similar size. I wanted to know the blade stock thickness differences, all the differences. Is it worth getting when it's seemingly very similar to the Drift Large? So I'm going to answer all those questions in this video and also compare them to the other Drifts and other 9 here as well. So let's get into it. I love quiet carry. Let's do it. Please subscribe to the channel. If you're already subscribed, or even if you're not, please like the video. Go down there and do it right now. I'll wait for you. Go ahead. All right, thanks. So, man, this thing is... This was sent to me, but I didn't buy this, by the way. This was sent to me by a subscriber who is looking to sell, possibly trade it. I'm already thinking in my head what knives I have to trade or possibly buy it because I really like it so far. So, let's start at the beginning. My first quiet carry experience, the regular old Drift. This is an excellent knife. It's the smallest of the bunch, the only one with a big choke up spot area. Vanex blade steel, completely rust proof, titanium frame lock with the texture. Awesome. And then we have the Drift Large, which is the same exact thing but bigger with no choke up spot. And I love it. It's amazing. It's the same very thin blade stock that's on the Drift, regular Drift. Guys, this blade stock is so thin. It's thinner than the TRM. It is 85 thousandths. It's the thinnest blade stock of any knife I own. I love the Drift Large so much. It's very thin. It's bigger, but it didn't get any thicker in the handle. So it's still really thin. This thing just disappears when you put it in your pocket. It's like it's not even there. It's crazy. Unbelievably slicey. Great sharpening choil. There's no choke up spot, but they had a great sharpening choil. Still get the wire clip. Extremely smooth washer action. I mean, these are on washers, man. Look at this. Have you seen something like that on washers before? Maybe you have, but it's incredible how smooth these are. And then I got the 9. The 9 is kind of different because it's not rust proof, and we have bearings instead of the washers. Still have the hint of the texture here, which is amazing. This is the Sea Swirl version, which is really beautiful. Thicker blade stock than the Drifts, pretty noticeably so. So not quite as slicey, but still a very slicey knife. Full flat grind. Different blade shape, but what the belly's doing is pretty similar to these other knives. A little more belly on the 9. Really smooth washer action, bearing action, I mean. Really snappy thumb stud. And my favorite clip of any knife ever, I think, is the 9 clip. This is an absolutely fantastic clip. And now we have... Actually, you know what? I'm going to orient these. It makes more sense to do it this way, I think. Now we have the LCT, which is kind of a mix between the Drift Large and the 9, I think. We have the same 9 clip, which is so cool. I love this clip. It kind of mounts back behind the scale, so it's completely smooth under there. I love this clip. It's amazing. It's deep carry. It's a milled titanium clip. It's not bent. It's just amazing. So I'm really happy that it has this clip on it. We have contoured handle scales. You can see looking down at the top. The scales on the Drift Large are flat, so that's one difference. Also a much thicker knife than the Drift Large. It's not a thick knife, but it's definitely thicker, than the Drifts. Is it thicker than the 9? A little bit, yeah. A little bit. and we have the hole instead of the thumb stud. This is my first time experiencing a quiet carry with a hole. All these have been thumb studs so far. It's a good experience, let me tell you. This thing flicks real nicely, and it thumb flicks very nicely. Whoops. Yeah. Oh, so smooth, man. Perfectly centered, okay. Gosh. Really good detent. Whoops. Still getting a feel for it. I think the thumb flick actually might feel even better than the reverse flick. The hole feels suited for the thumb flick a little bit more, maybe. Man, that thumb flick is absolute money. Unbelievable. Rock solid. Look at that, man. Gosh, I'm falling in love. I'm falling in love. Look at how they did this little patch of the texture over on the lock side. That's so cool. On the 9, it does the same thing, but it's just a straight line. Here it's a little bit kind of contoured, or whatever you want to say that. Man, lock bar access is really good too. Quiet carry is so good at that. Such good lock bar access. Just a pleasurable place to put your thumb. Just so comfy. Now, blade stock thickness. The thing I was most curious about. I wish it was, well, I don't know. That's still pretty thin. But it's definitely not as thin as the Drift Large. Let's see what it's at. 110 thousandths. So that's pretty thin, you know. Let's see, what could we compare that to? How about like maybe a Sage 5? 118 thousandths, so a little thicker. How about like a Raccoon, Fosteed Raccoon, 117 thousandths. What is this again? 109. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that it's thinner than your average knife. But, you know, definitely not going to be as slicey as the Drift Large, which is incredibly slicey. So it's probably maybe a little slicier than your average knife, you know? Especially being this deep blade with a full flat grind. But not going to be as slicey as these two. Will you actually notice it passing through cardboard? I think so. I think that's enough of a difference where you might notice. It's just insane how these drifts pass through cardboard. They're like freaking laser beams, man. So you might notice that this doesn't pass through quite as well, but I mean, it's going to cut really well still. Very sharp. Very, very sharp. This is also Vanex blade steel. So, you know, we do have a lot of rust-proof qualities, but it has bearings. So I don't know if those are rust-proof or not, the bearings themselves. I don't think they advertise this as a rust-proof knife, you know, where the drifts, that's kind of their thing, their ocean use knives. I don't think this is marketed as that, but still you're going to get some good corrosion resistance with the Vanex. And the titanium, obviously titanium is not, doesn't rust, so. You know, I will say the Drift Large is not a super ergonomic knife just because it's so thin. There's no hot spots, but it's just thin. You know what I mean? It doesn't fill out your hand quite as nice as this LCT does. This is really comfortable, man. Really, really comfortable. Definitely more comfortable than the Drift Large. Definitely. Are they the exact same handle shape? I think they are. It looks like it's the exact same handle shape. It is. It is the exact same handle shape. Just contoured and thicker on the LCT. Interesting. So yeah, it really is a mix between the 9 and the drift large. Really, the only similarity with the 9 is that it has bearings. I guess that's really where the similarities end, and the clip too, and the clip. Got a little lanyard hole. I like how they do that, where it doesn't show on the show side, but it's back here if you want to use it. I love that. That's so great. The 9 doesn't have it at all, and actually, you know what? The drifts do too. I didn't think I ever noticed that. Same concept, where it's only on the clip side. That's cool. Lock bar relief cutout on the inside on the drift large. On the outside, actually, it's both. The big one's on the inside, and there's a little one on the outside. I don't think that's really gonna be enough to catch on like your pocket seam or anything. If this one was on the outside, for sure it would, but it's not. It's on the inside. So yeah, that doesn't matter. On the 9, same kind of thing. There's a little notch on the outside, big notch on the inside. Is there milling on the inside of these scales? Yeah, there is. Okay. Let's see what the weight is on this thing here. 'Cause that's going to be a thing too. The weight difference between the drift large and this will be pretty significant. On the LCT is 5.2 ounces. On the drift large, 3.5. Yeah, pretty significant. The 9 is 4 ounces even. The original drift is 2.9 ounces. This thing might as well not even be in your pocket if you're carrying this. It just absolutely disappears. Less than 3 ounces and extremely thin. It's a great knife. I don't carry it as much now that I have the 9 and the drift large. If I want something light and small, like usually depends on the type of pants I'm wearing or shorts. Sometimes I'll grab this one, the smaller one. But anyways, I like it, man. I really like it. It feels really, really well made. As with all quiet carries that I've tried, they just are really well made. The attention to detail is really nice. There's a lot of stuff going on this lock bar right here. If you look at all the different surfaces, nice micro milling on the on this as well. Interesting how they carved this out to have better access to the hole there. That's cool. Yeah, it's taken me a second to get used to the reverse flick. I've missed it a couple times. Yeah, I think I'm just getting used to where to put the finger. The thumb flick, though, like I said, is just money every single time. Good sounds, too. I really like it. I'm going to try to find something in my collection I can trade this guy. Yep. I like it. I'm trying to think, if it did have the blade stock as thin as the drift large, would it look weird? You know, with such a thick handle and then such a skinny blade? I don't know, maybe. It might look kind of weird. This looks more proportional to the knife. You know, if this skinny blade was in this handle, it might look weird. I don't know. Is the blade the exact same thing? Yeah. The blades are exactly the same. Just thicker. Well, there you go. Hopefully that answers all your questions you might have about the LCT and the drift large. If you have any more, let me know in the comments. Oh, you know, we didn't mention we didn't measure behind the edge thickness. We're looking at 16 thousandths there, and then at the tip, 16 again. Not crazy thin, but again, thinness of blade stock is more important to sliciness than behind the edge thickness. You can have a pretty thick measurement behind the edge, but really thin blade stock, and it's going to be a laser beam. You can have really thick blade stock, but tiny, like 4 thousandths behind the edge, it's not going to slice as good. It'd be like if you ground down an axe to a really thin measurement behind the edge, it's still not going to slice good because it's an axe. So yeah, 16 thousandths is pretty good. Is it the same as drift large? Drift large is, yeah, 16 thousandths. What's the 9? 9 is 16 thousandths? Wow. Is that just a coincidence, or are they very consistent? Original drift's a little thinner, 14 thousandths. So, right on. If you can't tell, I'm a big Quiet Carry fan. I just really like their stuff. They're made in Taiwan, which is kind of I like that a little better than something made in China. It feels like, and this is really not political at all, although that is a factor. It's not a huge factor for me. It's more the feeling I get from knives. A lot of times, a Chinese knife I don't feel has like a soul to it, where a USA made knife I feel like it has that soul. And that's just me, folks. You could feel totally different. That's your thing. I feel like these Taiwanese knives have more soul than something made in China. Maybe that has to do with I don't know, the people that are making it. Maybe they're paid better in Taiwan, or maybe their conditions are better. Who knows? I don't know where that comes from, but that's the feeling I get. I wouldn't say that these have the type of soul that a USA made knife does, but still, it's closer. It's definitely a lot closer. So, anyways, Quiet Carries, they're the shit. I really, really like their stuff. So there you go. The LCT. I'll let you know if I end up getting this. I'm going to try. Really, really dig it. So we'll see. Love you guys. Please like the video before you leave if you didn't already. And I'll see you next time.